And that's why grandmama said, don't ever drink from an empty container. Hello everyone, I'm author R.L. Raintree. This is Reels and Reads, where I give honest reviews and occasional spoilers. 2025's Hamlet, which will be released here in the United States this April of 2026, is a refreshing retelling of a Shakespeare classic. This film stars Riz Ahmed as Hamlet, Joe Elwyn as Laertes, and then I'm gonna ruin this name, but is it Morford Clark as Ophelia? I don't know if you pronounce it the way the Swedish pronounce it or not. So this film takes place in London, but it's in the South Asian area of London. It includes the underground and their own little neighborhoods, kind of like it is here in the United States. So we still have the same dialogue. We still have Shakespeare's language in the film, but it is modern as far as its visual retelling. The cinematography is definitely dark, which I would like a little bit more light. I don't know what's going on with films lately with the darkness, but it is colorful, almost technicolor, in the way it captures the richness of colors, even in the dark lighting. Most of this film seems to take place at night anyway, so I guess that's not that big of a deal. Now, even though this maintains Shakespeare's official language and his actual dialogue, it does completely butcher the play, and by butcher, I mean chop it up, not as in ruin it. So there's a lot of dialogue and several scenes that are not included in this film. They've completely removed some of the soliloquies, which some Shakespearean purists will be angry about, but I felt like it was perfect for this particular story, but I'll get into that later. So if you are, say, a teacher, or you're someone who's trying to teach Shakespeare to a bunch of teenagers who refuse to read the text or aren't quite understanding the text because of the language of the time, they're definitely going to understand it better here, because although it maintains that same Shakespearean language, the visual representation kind of makes it make more sense. So again, it takes place in more modern times. It doesn't have the old-fashioned costumes. It has South Asian style costumes, and the main setting is the wedding. And again, there are some things that have changed, but for example, the play in Hamlet becomes sort of like a tiny play at a wedding. It's part of the style or the tradition of the Asian style wedding. So if you're watching this and you were struggling with understanding what's being said or the tone or the emotion of the written play, watching it play out with modern times, like you seeing, the cars and the to be or not to be speech being portrayed in a more modern way, modern as far as visual setting and things of that sort, you'll definitely understand the play better. So for those who were struggling, you're gonna understand it far better now than before, and that's usually going to be your younger audiences or people who struggle with Shakespearean language. What I liked about this film was Mr. Ahmed's, is it Ahmed or Ahmed? His performance as Hamlet, okay? It was absolutely wonderful, award worthy, at least award nomination worthy. And the reason why I say that is because I never quite grasped just how mad Hamlet was in the Shakespearean play. For those who are unfamiliar, in the play, Hamlet pretends to be mad so that he can avenge his father's murder. But in this film, which is purely from Hamlet's point of view, Hamlet is actually going mad. Now, there's always been some debate among scholars whether or not Hamlet actually began to become mad. You play crazy enough, you're going to be crazy. But in this film, it's not up for debate. Hamlet is actually going crazy. Now, for a moment, he says, I'm going to get revenge. But just the thought of it, knowing that he can't do anything about it and that he doesn't want to hurt his mother, is what drives him mad right away, to the point where you're wondering, is he mad? Is he not mad? But it was played more in that way. And his performance does it in such a way that it's so subtle that you go mad with him. And then his obsession with, I have to make this right, his obsession with going about it to the point to where he doesn't even remember how long it's been since his father's gone. It's just a magnificent performance, and I really hope to see him get some sort of accolades and nominations for his performance. This is done with South Asian / London perspective. I've seen Hamlet with nothing but British people. I've seen it with Black people, but that's usually on stage. But to see such an underrepresented group of people, or a ethnic group of people, do something like this was so necessary, and adding their culture to it didn't take away from it. Those of you who like to say, oh, the film went well, no, it didn't do that at all. And it shows how theater can be portrayed by anyone. It was so refreshing to see the South Asian version of it, which really, again, it was only the visual part that was South Asian. The dialogue and everything else, the narrative, all of it was still Shakespeare. What I didn't like about the film was simply the lighting. It was just so dark. I really wanted to appreciate the richness of the costume design, the colors of the costume design, the colors that went into the set. Every inch of this set is vibrant and colorful, but it just feels so dull with the dark lighting. The performances were peak for every single actor in this film. The queen, the king, everyone. Ophelia, everyone, even the extras were on point. So the performances were perfect, but you couldn't fully appreciate the detail to the set, the detail to the costume design, the detail to the makeup, because the film was just so darkly lit. So I would love to appreciate the cinematography, but at the same time, it was just too dark. Overall, I loved how refreshing it is. I love how it cut down the unnecessary parts of the play for the story that they were trying to tell. I can tell you right now, again, if you're a Shakespearean purist, or if there's a certain part of the play that you really love that got removed, you're not going to like this. But for the rest of us who love seeing adaptations of theater, adaptations of certain plays that have never been on stage, for example, you're really going to love this. I was a theater kid, so I loved seeing many different adaptations of the same play, just to see how your mind saw it when you read it. I have to say, Emerald Fennell needs to take a page from this book. This is how you adapt something. This is how you take something you've read and put your perspective on it. What she did with Wuthering Heights was an abomination. She really needs to spend some time with this director and this writer to understand how to do it right. I'm giving this film 5 stars. Again, I've said before with The Stranger that it seems like classic filmmaking is finally coming back in style. This is nothing like the Romeo and Juliet with Claire Danes and Leonardo DiCaprio. It's not like that, where they kept the Shakespearean language, but they went, extreme with the visual representation. It's not like that at all. Definitely recommend to everybody watch this. This will be in theaters in the United States in April of 2026. I mean, you could watch a lot of stuff out there, but this is a work of art that I highly recommend that you watch. If you need to familiarize yourself with the story of Hamlet, feel free to do so. Go ahead and read the book, but it actually isn't necessary to go back and read Hamlet to understand this story.